Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Tales from the Typecase. My name's Greg Smith, and I'm the proprietor of Blind Pig Press. And let's bend our shell-like ears to the typecase tonight and see what it's whispering to us. Tonight, we have we're completing a trilogy, I think. An unintentional trilogy, which are probably the best types of trilogies. But we're going to be looking at another Slab Serif font, so the Slab Serif Trilogy, called P.T. Barnum. And there's a little bit of something unusual about this typecase that I think you'll find interesting. So let's go and have a look. So as I've mentioned, tonight's typeface is P.T. Barnum. And if we look at the front of the typecase, the handle here with the name on it, you'll see, indeed, it is P.T. Barnum. I'm not responsible for the spacing between the N and the U there. But the interesting part about this is that it is two different fonts in one typecase. So let's have a look at the 18 and 30 point P.T. Barnum. Now, in the words of Tom Jones, it's not unusual to have two different fonts in one typecase. However, it is a little bit unusual in my experience to have them intermingled in the same case, the same California case. So you'll see we have the 18 point and we have the 30 point together. And this is sort of how it came to us. So it must be because of this fancy tag. It must have been a large job shop that put it together, or someone who took fastidious care of their type and the labeling of it. But you'll see again, California job case, but the commingling is interesting. The other thing that you'll notice is that we have some of the extra characters here. So we have some figures, dollar signs, some ligatures, and other punctuation marks in the space that would normally be reserved for the spaces, the word spaces. And over here, we have the figures. And you'll also notice some extra characters down here, an A and a ligature, and I believe that's an FL ligature over here. So they've taken some liberties with the typecase, and I'm figuring, because of the way I have used it in the past, that it's because of the difference in the type size. There's quite a difference in type size. So hopefully you're aware of the typeface enough that you're not going to pick up a 18 point when you mean to pick up a 30 point, and vice versa. If you can't tell the difference between the 18 point and the 30 point, then I think maybe you should be doing something else. So the thing you'll notice about up in the top corner here is we have some paper that's been cut up. So normally you would use thin pieces of brass or copper to go in between the letter forms in very, very small, thin spaces. But if you need even smaller adjustments, micro adjustments, in the past, printers have cut up slices of paper here. So that's an interesting sort of a professional typesetter indication to me. The other thing that I noted when we were looking at the label for the typecase was the spacing between the N and the U. And if we grab a U and an N, I'm going to sort of bring both hands into it here. You'll notice that there's a nick on the bottom, or the bottom part of the letter, or the piece of type. So when you put them together, you want all those nicks to line up along the bottom. So that's how you know that the type is sitting the right way around. So if we line up those nicks and put the N and the U together, you'll notice they actually fit together quite nicely. Whereas on the front of the cabinet, on the handle, that it was not fitting together nicely. So that must have been an error at the proofing stage rather than an error in the beautiful piece of P.T. Barnum that we have here. So as we consult W. Pincus Jaspert, I was a little concerned because I couldn't find P.T. Barnum in here at first. And I should have known it because if you look, it's under the B's. So it's like it's somebody's name. Well, it is somebody's name, but I was looking under P.T. Barnum and I was looking under the P. So there, he is referring to P.T. Barnum as a reversed Egyptian. So an Egyptian font is a slab serif, and this is the Slab Serif Trilogy that we're presenting here. But you'll notice that the serifs are thicker than the strokes within the letter forms. So it's like they've taken it and sort of flipped it around. And that's what gives P.T. Barnum sort of an openness in the middle of the letter forms. So the heaviness is at the top and the bottom, either the cap height and the X height and the baseline. So it is quite an interesting font. And it goes back really to the mid to late 1800s. And it was presented as French Clarendon under the Bernhardt Brothers and Spindler catalog, you'll see. And when sort of all the type founders in America merged together to form the American Type Founders, ATF, it's also known. So it is named after P.T. Barnum, the circus chap, the famous American circus creator. And that came, after. So I believe it was 1934 or 1938 that it started to become identified as P.T. Barnum rather than French Clarendon. So here we have some letters out of the Typecase. And in the capital letters, I've brought along the F, the Z, and the O. And in a way, they sort of represent three different types of characters within the font itself. So we have the F, which has the horizontals and verticals. And again, you see those really heavy serifs and the light interior strokes. And also you'll notice that the interior serifs on the F and the top are bracketed. So they have the little curve on them, but they're unbracketed on the bottom. So that's a little bit unusual. We also have the Z, which is really heavy, and you have the light diagonal line going through it. And where P.T. Barnum's unusualness becomes really apparent is in the circular letter. So normally when you have a circular letter, you would have, depending on what type it is or what era it's from, if it's an old style letter, you have the thicks sort of at an angle here. So they would be, you have the thin parts of the letter and then you have the thick parts of the letter. But with P.T. Barnum, you'll notice that the thick parts of the letter are directly on the vertical. So they have, weighed out like this. And this is a terrible drawing, but maybe I should just put some happy faces in there. But again, that's quite unusual, and it really does throw the balance off when you look at it. There's something wrong, but you can't really tell what's wrong. We also have the smaller 18 point here, and you'll see we have, again, the slab serifs on the W, and again, the weirdness of the T. Like when you're looking at it, you look at it and you know that something's wrong, but you really can't tell what it is. The other thing that I wanted to show you is these beautiful ligatures for P.T. Barnum. We have our FFL ligature here. So if you're typesetting the word muffle or puffle, then you would use the ligature itself. And so it's three combined letters. And we also have the FF ligature. Getting closer up here, you'll see that there is, at the top, a little kern. So in this area here, that is what is called a kern. And if I put it down against the white background here, you'll see that it sticks over a little bit. And what that is the top part of the F is sitting over the next letter. So you have to design it so it all fits together. The other thing that you'll notice is that we don't have any pin marks on this. So there's no pin marks on the 30 point and no pin marks on the 24 point. So it is my firm belief that this is a monotypeface, and the difference between a monotypeface and a foundry typeface is that monotype is usually made of softer and less durable type metal. So we're talking lead, tin, and antimony. And in foundry metal, the composition is a little bit different to make the type last longer. And usually, in the case of something like this, it would probably be a headline font, so it would not get as much use as a regular text face. Okay. I don't have a proof of this particular size of P.T. Barnum, so I thought I'd grab the old composing stick and do some typesetting for you and proof it up. There we have it, Tales from the Typecase. So I'm going to add some space to this, and then I'll bring you over to the proof press. So we're just going to ink up the type. Tales from the Typecase, set in 18-point P.T. Barnum. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. And next week, we're going to have another font that we're going to have a look at and listen to the type and hear what it has to say. So remember to like, subscribe, comment, shower us with money, do whatever you wish. And we'll see you next week.